Hi everyone, it's Fiona Edgar here. This is a video about Mercury retrograde in Libra. So that is starting today. It's going to go retrograde all the way to October the 2nd. Now, before then, on September 23rd, Mercury is going to re-enter Virgo. It starts this retrograde today at 8 degrees of Libra. So the first thing to do is check your chart, see where you have 8 degrees of Libra, and that will be the house for you to specifically focus on. So I will be going through all of the signs individually and what you can expect from that. But to get the most accuracy, you would need to check your own birth chart. So you can purchase a birth chart, you can buy a reading from me, or you can actually buy a computer generated chart from the shop on my website. Sorry, I'm struggling already with this Mercury retrograde to get the words out properly. Or you can get a free one. If you go to astro.com, you can draw it up for free there. So after the retrograde is over on October 2nd, technically Mercury is still going to be in that super tricky shadow period until October 17th. Personally, I only feel real issues from Mercury shadow for about a week afterwards, but it is ongoing until then. Now, what I wanted to say is that when Mercury goes back into the sign of Virgo, it will be in domicile. So Mercury is naturally the ruler of Virgo. So you should see it start to ease up a little then. The problems will be really initially when it goes retrograde today, all the way through to the 23rd. So what can we expect from this retrograde? It is going retrograde in an air sign, a cardinal air sign, which is Libra. Libra is focused on fairness, balance, equality. It is also the sign of pure logic, pure left brain logic. So Libra is not a sign that makes decisions based on its emotions. It is going to be thought through very carefully and with using logic only. So all of a sudden, you may choose to make a decision that is just based on things that you've been thinking about, completely detached emotionally. Something has not been working for you, and then all of a sudden you decide to make some changes. Now, what I wanted to say about retrogrades in general, in particular Mercury retrograde. So we all know that it has a reputation for bringing disaster and all of that stuff. But it happens 3 times a year. This year, it actually goes retrograde 4 times. We've got one right at the end of the year. So it's known for sending things a little bit wonky in your external life, also in your own mind. Now, the best way to look at a Mercury retrograde is it's getting you back on the right path. We all have a path in life. It's very unpopular to believe in fate or destiny anymore. However, I do. I believe that we have a loose map that's kind of set out for us. So if you have been straying from that path, it could be anything. It could be a relationship, a job, a home, whatever. This is the time when the universe is going to get you back on the right course. Now, how far you have strayed from your real path will kind of determine how difficult a retrograde will be for you. So astrology transits in general, if you have a catastrophic time, everything's falling apart, you let it die, and then you suddenly realize that it was the best thing. So when a planet is retrograde, it appears to be moving backward from in the sky, from our perspective here on Earth. Okay, it's not actually moving backwards, but the energetic effects of this is very real, and we will feel that and see that in the world around us. Okay, so all of a sudden there is a decision that you have to make, or there is an issue. Of course, it could be very much connected to love, partnerships, because Libra is the sign of partnerships. It can be romantic, it can be business, any kind of partnership. All of a sudden things start to get a bit messed up because Mercury is retrograde in that sign. The opposition to Jupiter is very much about weighing the pros and cons of something. That should you go your own way? Should you stay as part of this group or part of this partnership? So it'll happen all of a sudden. So the other thing is that tomorrow there is actually a full moon. Okay, so a full moon is the kind of end of something, the end of a cycle. So this retrograde is very significant for endings in particular. Now, remember what I said, if things fall apart, it's for your own good, ultimately. You will get back in the right path again. You will have more balance in your life, more peace, and feeling better in general. So Libra is also the sign of things that look good, pleasure, beauty. So one thing in particular is that you could be feeling maybe a bit crap about your appearance or the way that you look. Okay. I don't look this way. I want to look a certain way. You may decide to go on a diet or improve your health routine or the way that you look in some way. It's best not to make huge dramatic changes during a Mercury retrograde. For example, let's say I decided to dye my hair black, which I wouldn't do, but it would be a bad decision to make a choice of so extreme during a retrograde, because all of a sudden, when the retrograde is over, you'll be like, what did I do? Okay. Now, for things like your diet and improving the way that you look, starting an exercise routine, etc., it actually is a good time because, well, you have lived in this body for your entire existence in this lifetime. So you're improving upon something which has already existed, and that is perfectly okay. So some other aspects that we have during this retrograde. Now, in the actual chart, the moon is square Mars, right? So what we have is we could have a drama, an emotional drama that comes up out of nowhere. There could be an argument. There could be impatience. There could be a lot of small irritating things that is really getting on your nerves. All of a sudden, you look at your home with a different eyes. You see the mess and you want to clear up the clutter and improve upon that. But you will want it now. You'll want it all of a sudden. You're going to be extremely impatient. Okay. So there is also some other things going on. So Mercury retrograde is actually conjunct a fixed star called Vindemiatrix. Isn't that a lovely word? Vindemiatrix. I was saying that word over and over again yesterday as I was thinking about this retrograde. So Vindemiatrix is known as the grape gatherer. So it is a time to reap what you have sown, this retrograde. It is also a time for action. Okay, you see all of these nice things that you want. You want this certain role in life. You want a good career. You want finances. You want a perfect body, all of that. Now is the time to start to get off your ass and start working for those things. Stop expecting other people to create all of that for you. So Vindemiatrix is also connected to actually deaths of famous people. And well, we just heard the death of the Queen announced there yesterday. So that's not really surprising. Okay. So when Mercury goes back into Virgo, which is on the 23rd, it will start to make an opposition to Neptune. So the planet Neptune is connected to delusions, deception. It can really give you a feeling of a lack of direction. It's also connected to viruses, illnesses. Some people for sure will be feeling under the weather during this retrograde. So they will, it could be a simple flu. It doesn't have to be anything serious, but your immune system is going to be a little bit weakened with the opposition to Neptune, especially for Taurus, because it's going retrograde in your 6th house. So just want to watch out for. So we're striving for perfection in some way with this retrograde. You're deeply unsatisfied with some aspect of your life or your job, and you seek to improve that, it can become a point of obsession. Now, I, for one, think that we all should be striving for greatness. It's not the same thing as perfection, because that doesn't really exist. However, it's all too easy in life to sit back and not push yourself, not challenge yourself to be great, to be powerful in every area of your life. We live in the age of darkness where degeneracy, ugliness, laziness, all of those things are rewarded, and weakness. So we should be striving to make the best out of ourselves. There is no better sign for that than Virgo, because Virgo goes over everything with a fine-tooth comb. If you know any Virgos, they're usually very cautious. They take a lot of care with their diets normally. They are interested in fitness and keeping themselves well. They work very hard. Normally, they work hard tirelessly and without much recognition. It is the sign of service. It is the sign of doing things for other people. So you could end up being obsessed with something. I always say that Virgo is a lot like Scorpio in its intensity and its passion and obsessions, but without the black helicopters that come with Scorpio. So yes, all of those are good things, self-improvements, but think it through first. Now, one thing in particular about when Mercury goes back into Virgo is you could be feeling a lot of anxiety. So there's a lot of anxiety, especially with the opposition to Neptune. You could be thinking, okay, something may become a huge deal in your mind when in fact it's very easily fixed. So look for the most simple solution into making it into a huge drama in your mind. If you're unsure about which path to take or which steps that you should take, wait until the retrograde is over. So as usual, the Mercury retrograde rules apply. Don't get married under a Mercury retrograde. No, especially the shadow as well, because it's unlikely to last. Try not to start anything new. However, if you do, you shouldn't put your entire life on hold. If someone offers you a new job, it seems like a great opportunity, go for it. Sorry, it's just annoying virus scan popping up on my computer. So unwanted intrusions, that's another possibility with this retrograde. But try not to start anything majorly new. But if you have to, then go ahead and do it. There could be something that you're unsure about. There could be stuff going on behind the scenes that will later be revealed to you when Mercury goes direct, but it will be a learning experience for you. Nothing is really permanent in life. Things come, things go. That is just life. We're supposed to be on this wheel of change all of the time. But a lot of folks get stuck in life. They get stagnant. So that's because we're completely out of alignment with the seasons. You know, this the wheel of nature, the wheel of life, which actually the zodiac is, along with the runes and the tarot. The zodiac is a perfect description of the cycle of life and death and everything in between. So we are out of alignment with that. We don't eat seasonally. We are getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym in the darkest days of winter, and then you're eating some fruit that was flown 4,000 miles away, and we're living all of this unnatural thing. So a lot of people will get stagnant and they feel like there's something missing in their life. They're just feeling like there's really a big, I'm depressed. I don't know why, nothing is moving. It's just one blockage after another. That's because you're on the wrong path, right? So it happens to all of us. But if you're working with this wheel of the year, tapping into the zodiac energies, because they are in perfect alignment with the equinoxes, with the solstices. Western astrology is not out of alignment with anything. It is not a star-based zodiac or chart. It is based on the equinoxes and the solstices, it's in perfect alignment with those. It is a completely different system than sidereal astrology. This is something that annoys me and other astrologers to no end, when people that have very little astrological knowledge continue to say that the Western or tropical zodiac is wrong. It is not. Okay. No, sidereal astrology is based on the stars, but this Western astrology is definitely a seasonal circle of life that everyone lives through. Whether you believe in astrology or not, you're affected by the seasons, the nature and the natural world around us. Okay. So in the theme of perfection and improving upon things, astrology has suffered so much. Yes, largely because of idiots on the internet that claim to be astrologers and don't know anything about its historical background or the scientific stuff connected to it. So yes, great time to improve upon anything to do with your health, the way that you work, the way that you think, your anxiety levels, lowering your stress levels. If you feel unattractive in your own body, it's time to get to work to improve that. So we have all of this stuff now about body positivity. And yes, of course, everyone should, I don't necessarily think love the way that they look. I think that's highly narcissistic, but just at least feeling acceptance that you're doing the best that you can. But all of this unhealthy stuff is kind of just accepted. And if you think that it's wrong, that people should strive to be fantastic, then you're some kind of fascist or fatophobe or whatever they call it. But just do the best that you can. Do not rely on other people. Get off your ass and work for it, and strive to be great. Strive to be fantastic. Like all of those people from thousands of years ago, we still remember their names. We still learn from them. We still read their texts. How many people now are going to be remembered? In a few thousand years, even 100 years. What are you doing that is going to achieve greatness? So I don't mean become some idiot model on Instagram. I mean something that is going to leave a long-lasting legacy. Writing, teaching, tapping into ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge, being yourself. So this could be a tricky one really until the 23rd. Then it gets a bit easier, but we have the opposition to Neptune. So you could be maybe questioning other people's motives. You could be feeling a bit of paranoia because Neptune will add that. What are they doing? Nothing will be clear around that time. So don't even try to make any sense of it. You will be feeling very distracted because remember, Virgo is a mutable sign. And Neptune is in Pisces, which is a mutable sign. So the ADHD stuff is going to be kind of, it's going to be an issue if you're prone to that, especially if you have other mutable planets in your birth chart, planets in Gemini or angles, and Sagittarius. So it's okay if you can't focus. It's only going to last for another, but maybe you're getting all of these ideas for a reason. The mutable signs are great at coming up with ideas, but they don't act on it. Okay, so they don't make the changes, they just think about them. But it's time to get your ass into gear here, make those positive changes, come away from all of the fear. So we have just been pumped with, there was all the stuff about the virus, and now it's like everyone should be horrifically scared that about the economy and all of this. Yes, of course you should be concerned. Of course you should be prepared for that. And Virgo is the sign of preparation. They're always, they've got everything in a list that they need to do. We should be a bit taking a leaf from their book and being prepared, planning. However, don't get lost in the fear. Right? Don't get lost in the fear, because this is being used as a weapon against us. Neptune can also be about fear and feeling weak and powerless. You're not powerless. All of your ancestors went through probably much worse over and over again. You're here. You're a proof that people survive. And you should tap into that and remember that people have been through a lot worse many times. And yeah, don't use that as an excuse. So that's pretty much the general energy of the retrograde. So let's take a look at what it means for each of the signs individually. Now, I want you to check your sun sign and your rising sign. Your rising sign is the most important. You will need to have an exact time of birth to get the correct rising sign, because even a couple of minutes can make a difference in astrology. For example, when I was born, my ascendant is a very late degree of Gemini. So if I was born 10 minutes later, I would be Cancer rising, which is a massively different sign. And yes, even though it's on your birth certificate, your bracelet, your mother remembers the time, sorry, but all of those things can be wrong. Frequently they are wrong. So look into the energy of your rising sign, make sure that it fits you. If you don't know any of those things, some astrologers, including myself, can perform a birth time rectification. So I did one recently for one of my clients, and came up with Cancer rising for him at a certain time, and then he actually did find out later they got his birth time, and yes, it was spot on. So it is possible to do that. Some astrologers do it. I am one of those. If you would like to know what time you were born at. So for Aries and Aries rising, so the retrograde is starting off in your 7th house. Now that is going to bring up some issues connected to relationships, partnerships. It can be business, client, student, teacher. It could also be enemies that you know about, because that too is a partnership that you have entered into. Okay, so you could have some marriage problems, or just some stuff from the past that didn't get resolved that is suddenly an issue again. From the 23rd, Mercury will move back into your 6th house of health, healing. Great time to start a diet. Great time to work on, I don't know, food intolerances or some kind of healing practice that you kind of need to do. But your daily routines are going to be a little bit messed up, Aries. And I know you're not good with routines anyway, because you're kind of impulsive and you like to do your own thing. But there could be a change within your work schedule. You could also have some issues with small animals, pets. If you're a pet owner, you know, it doesn't have to be a huge drama. Maybe your cat's all of a sudden goes off his food, or he's sleeping more than usual. So go and get him checked out. So Taurus and Taurus rising, the retrograde starts initially in your 6th house. So this is going to definitely change some of your routines. You're going to feel a little bit off balance. Your workload could increase maybe a little bit more than usual. Okay, because Libra is the sign of balance. It's the sign of fairness. Maybe all of a sudden you're kind of like, hang on a second, I'm the one that's organizing all of these things. I'm organizing the people in my office. This isn't really fair. I have way too much on my shoulders, and you start to want to fix that. So from the 23rd, then the Mercury is going to go backwards into your 5th house, and that is going to be about your kids. If you have any, it's going to be about some romances. It could also be about pregnancies. Am I pregnant? Am I not? That really depends on the person, of course. It could also be about creative ideas that you were thinking of before, and you're suddenly starting to revisit those. So for Gemini and Gemini rising, it's going retrograde in your 5th house, and this is going to be about all of a sudden you could have some problems with your kids. There could be some real creative ideas that are coming to you that are going to help you to make money in the long term, help you with your business. Definitely tap into those, write them down. If it's too large of a project to start during the retrograde, take note of it and then revisit it after it goes direct. There could be romances from the past in particular that come up again. So from the 23rd, it goes retrograde in your fourth house. Now, this could be a classic thing to do with your home. You could suddenly discover that you have something wrong in a leak in your attic. There's a pipe leaking, or maybe you just want to get things changed around. So I'm Gemini rising, and last night I was clearing out my spare room. Well, my boyfriend was helping me. So we were moving a new bed into the spare room. And that's the kind of thing that you will do during a Mercury retrograde. It's just like all of a sudden things don't seem to fit the way that you want. So you make changes. That's perfectly okay. So for Cancer people and Cancer rising, the Mercury retrograde initially starts in your fourth house. This is mostly to do with aesthetics, the way that your home looks. Because remember, this retrograde starts in the sign of Libra. It could be a more challenging retrograde for you initially, Cancer, because Cancer and Libra actually make a square, right? So you all of a sudden, maybe you're not happy with where you're living. Maybe there's the incessant barking of a dog somewhere in the distance and it's like driving you nuts. Maybe you work from home a lot and those noise from other people is bothering you. Maybe you're deciding to move location, move country, or just simply move to another home nearby. I wouldn't do that over the retrograde. I would wait until afterwards. But right now you can research about where it is that you want to go to, or you can make small changes in your home, right? The fourth house is also a pregnancy house. Okay, so you could definitely for sure be experiencing like you could become pregnant, or there could be maybe, am I pregnant? Am I not? If I am not pregnant, then why am I not? There could be some issues to do with your health that you want to go over and get checked out to check your fertility. So then on the 23rd, Cancer, Mercury moves back into Virgo. So that will enter your third house. The third house can be neighbors. Okay, so the two houses that are being highlighted for you are the fourth and the third, your home and your neighborhood. So there could be some problems there with a neighbor. You could also hear from a sibling. You haven't heard from them in a while. Retrograde is the classic time when people pop up out of nowhere. Now, communication is going to be a thing for you, right? Because the retrograde that happens in your fourth house. Fourth house is not only home and family and ancestry, but it is also to do with problems from the past, issues from the past. So something that you thought was buried a long time ago can resurface. Now, the way that you're thinking is changing, the way that you're communicating is also changing, but you could be getting some good ideas with Mercury retrograde in your third house. If you have a car or another vehicle, it is quite likely that you might experience problems. So it's not like all of a sudden the piano falls from the sky and crushes your car, but maybe something like putting the wrong type of fuel in your car by accident. That's something that our minds are just not really working efficiently during a retrograde, especially when it's in Virgo. There can be that anxiety type of energy. So watch that you don't make any mistakes. So Leo, the retrograde is starting in your third house. So the communication is going to be a bit off for you. Things to do with neighbors, issues with your neighborhood. There could be some imbalance of fairness, justice, something that you think, hang on a second, this isn't right, this isn't on, it's not fair. It could be to do with your siblings, because the third house is siblings and your cousins and people in your neighborhood. So look out for problems there. On the 23rd, Mercury goes back into your second house. The second house is about your money, your finances. So what I see is that you have made a big purchase recently, especially with Mercury retrograde in Libra. Now, that's Mercury in Libra wants fine goods. It wants luxury items. It wants the best. It doesn't want a 99p t-shirt that was made in China from Primark. It wants Versace. It wants Marks and Spencer's at least. Okay. So you could be control, like you have to take a look at your spending. Don't make any large purchases. You may be feeling the pinch over the next few weeks financially. So it could be a good time to look at your finances. So for Virgo folks, the retrograde initially starts in your second house. That is to do with planning, to do with finances. Virgo is a frugal sign. So Virgos usually aren't very extravagant. The Virgos that I have known are normally very good with money and sensible, and they manage it well. When they spend money, they want to make sure that it's on a quality item, and they will research it. So if they're going to buy a new car, for example, they will shop the market. They will do all of their research before they make that purchase. So your finances, you're going to be going over those with a fine-tooth comb. You're going to be seeing where you can be frugal, what unnecessary expenses you can take out. Virgos are great at that, but you could have some problems there. So then on the 23rd, the Mercury retrograde will go back into your first house. Now, this could automatically bring an illness that you have to deal with, because the first house is your physical body, right? So you could have some problems, major problems with other people, okay? Because they are seeing this first house. They could be projecting all kinds of nonsense on you, especially as Neptune is transiting your 7th of partners. There could be some wonky stuff there to do with you versus a partnership, business partner, whatever. You could have some problems there. So for Libra and Libra rising, Mercury retrograde is starting in your first house. So you may suddenly feel dissatisfied with the way that you look, your appearance. Libra people are usually immaculate. They always look good. They have a great sense of style. So all of a sudden you could be like, I want to change this now. So if it's something like a diet or starting to lift weights or go swimming or whatever, that is good. But don't shave your head. Don't go for plastic surgery under this. Don't even get Botox or something minor under a Mercury retrograde, because you will not like the results. So from the 23rd, Mercury will move back into your 12th house. The 12th house is about spending more time on your own. You may feel isolated from other people for some reason. You will be feeling more tired. You will need more rest. The 12th house is the house of sleep and dreams. Okay, so temporarily you may be feeling tired. You could also have a small period of insomnia. Now, I always say the 12th house is where the gods speak to us. It is the bridge between our physical reality and the spirit world. So when you have Mercury retrograde going through your 12th house, listen to what the gods are telling you. What are the messages? You know, it can be omens in nature. It can be random snippets of conversation that you pick up from other people. It can be your dreams. You're getting messages from the spirit world. So listen to those, write down your dreams. You could also have maybe some issues with hidden enemies or someone possibly speaking behind your back. It depends on the individual. So you will also get this opportunity to go over things that you are doing yourself that are damaging to yourself. Okay, we all have those things that we do. We know that they're not good for us. It can be anything from overeating to taking part in gossip or something that is kind of dodgy for you. You will get a light shining on those things during the retrograde. It is an opportunity to fix those, strive for perfection, and overcome those issues. So for Scorpio folks and Scorpio rising, the retrograde is starting in your 12th house. So like I just said, the 12th house is where the gods speak to us. It is the bridge from our physical reality into the spirit world. You will be getting messages now from the gods, from the ancestors. You could be getting those messages in the form of dreams. The 12th house is the house of sleep, rest, dreams, recovery. So look out for omens in nature, animals, even shapes in the clouds. I do that all the time. Also, you could be getting some signs from the gods, ravens, cats, whatever, something coming across your path. But it could also be about finding out a secret, because the 12th house things tend to be hidden. It could also be a flashlight shining on the stuff that you do that is bad for you, any addictions that you have, anything that you do that is harmful to not only yourself, but with your relationships with other people. So September 23rd, Mercury retrograde is going to move back into your 11th house. This is the house of friendships, groups that you belong to, organizations. Maybe you hear from someone, a friend from the past. So it doesn't have to be a huge drama. It could be that maybe someone that you cut ties with, they come back into your life, or you get an email from them. But it could also be just one of those people that you don't see very often. You suddenly hear from them. It could also be about you reviewing friendships. You're reviewing your membership in certain groups. Is this good for me? Is this what I want? And also, you'll be looking into your future, your dreams for the future. What do you want? Okay, are you on the right path for that? Remember, Mercury retrograde is when the universe, the gods, the fates, they come in and they say, you're on the wrong path. I'm going to wreck everything so that you can get on the right path. So for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, Mercury retrograde is starting in your 11th house. You could have some friend issues with friends that happen, a falling out. You could hear from a friend from the past. You could start to question your identity within a group or organization. You also could start to get some good ideas about planning stuff for your future, your dream life. What is that? What do I want? I want to live in Sweden in a log cabin, 200 miles away from every other person. Okay, well, right now you're living in London in a shared apartment. So what are you going to do to manifest your dream life? So then from the 23rd, Mercury retrograde moves back into your 10th house. This has got to do with your job, your career. You could have a bit of a problem there. You could start to review, is this job good enough for me? Now, remember that Virgo is definitely connected to small details. So there could be a lot of small issues that you experience. Paperwork gets lost. You get the wrong end of the stick about a job that you were supposed to do. You could be just experiencing small issues. So for Capricorn and Capricorn rising people, Mercury retrograde starts in your 10th house. This could be something to do with your reputation. Someone starts saying not so nice things about you online or whatever. It could also be about issues within your job. You know, in some cases, you could lose your job if you're on the wrong path, right? So if that happens to you, take it on the chin, learn from it, and then choose a different job or role in life. So you could also be questioning, am I getting what I want from this job? Is this giving me what I need? Now, from the 23rd, Mercury moves back into your 9th house. This could be about travel plans that suddenly go awry. Your beliefs are going to be seriously under question. Something may challenge your beliefs, especially in terms of like equality and fairness and justice. And you could start to question existing beliefs that you have had. There could be, for some people in the minority, there may be legal issues that you suddenly have to go over again and do some research on. Now, it is a good time for you to think about, what can I do to improve my life, improve my status? Because remember, Mercury went retrograde in your 10th house, which is your job. The 9th house is about higher learning, courses that you can use to better your status. Take a good look at those. So Aquarius and Aquarius rising, the retrograde starts in your 9th house. You will start to question your beliefs. You will start to, maybe you're thinking about traveling. The plans could go awry. Or you just start to think, okay, maybe I'm going to take a vacation in December. You start to make plans for that. So you could have some issues with foreign people, foreign cultures. You may be doing a course and then all of a sudden you decide that it's not right for you. You need to revisit that and start to think about a better course for you to do. So from the 23rd, Mercury retrograde will go back into your 8th house. This is where you can have some problems with joint finances, money that you share with a partner. You could have some sexual issues that pop up temporarily. There can be problems with intimacy with another partner, emotional intimacy. The 8th house is all about that. It's about that deep emotional, I would die for you bond. So you could be questioning that over the retrograde in your 8th house. There could also be some deep transformation that happens. This definitely could be at the end of something major when from the 23rd it enters your 8th house, because the 8th house is connected with death and rebirth. So if something big ends for you in particular, don't try and hang on to it, right? It's time for you to take a new path in life. So finally, for Pisces folks and Pisces rising, the retrograde starts in your 8th house. Something big could end here. It could be a partnership. It can be anything, a career or any relationship that you have with another person. It comes to an end so that you can be reborn again. So the 8th house is also about power. You may have a lot of power issues to deal with. Maybe people are trying to walk all over you. Maybe people are taking advantage of you. This is where you draw a line through that. You say stop, because when it starts, it's going to be in Libra. Libra is about, it is peaceful. It is about balance and harmony with others. However, it is not about being a doormat or a pushover. You will suddenly become aware of a situation that is unfair, and you will put an end to that. So from the 23rd, Mercury starts to go retrograde in your 7th house of partnerships. So these power issues, joint financial issues and all of that, and sexual issues, of course, are coming from a partner. It can be a business partner, it can be your marriage, or it can be some issue that you have with an enemy or a troublesome person that you know of. So you will be starting to review that. You could have some partners that possibly come back from the past. Hopefully not, because I'm a firm believer, if it didn't work the first time, it's not going to work the second time. Mercury retrograde is known for throwing those people back in your path as a test to see how much you have evolved and how much you have changed. There are archetypes of people, let's say for a long time, you always attracted like this loser archetype that wants to like leech your money, just take the back seat in the relationship, let you do everything. You don't want that type of person in your life anymore. The archetype will rise once more before you can put it to bed forever. You have to be strong enough to say no. You will be reviewing what it is that you really want within a relationship, within a partnership, and that. So that's pretty much it, guys. So just to recap, yes, it is going to be maybe a little bit rough. On the 23rd, Mercury moves back into domicile, and it will probably feel a little bit easier. However, that's when it starts to square. I keep saying square, I'm sorry, oppose Neptune. So there will be a lack of clarity. There may be some just temporary illnesses that pop up, a lack of energy. There can be some deception. There can be paranoia. There can be you not knowing what is really going on. So those are issues. However, by the end of the retrograde, October 2nd, things will be clear again. Finally, the shadow period is over on October 17th. Remember that the shadow period sometimes is a lot more trouble than the actual retrograde, because if you think about it, the energy is starting to, with Mercury stationing in particular, the energy is very, very volatile and unstable. So you will have all of your usual things. Oh, my computer isn't working. I was late for the train. There was a traffic jam, and then my car broke down. Hopefully, those things don't happen to you. But if they do, just remember it's just regular retrograde stuff. So I do hope that was helpful. Now, if you want to follow me on Telegram, I'll leave the link below. Check it out. I post on Telegram more than I do any other site. I do regular astrology voice clips, and I post other content as well. I had 2 months off due to some health issues. I'm completely well again. I'm back and feeling myself and energized and all those things. So I am taking new clients again. Now I am booked up for students until next year. So if you would like to become a student, you can book in for January. I teach one-on-one private tuition. So you don't have to share me with anyone else. The lessons are once a week at a time that suits both of us, for 2 hours at a time. So you can get back to me on that, or you can book a reading. I'm also free. I have some slots in December, and then from January, I'm totally free. So you can book in for one of those. Just go to the store on my website. And with that, I'd like to close and say thank you very much for following me. And please share this video, hit subscribe if you haven't done already, and I will be back again soon.